Hey everyone, it's Jay.
And Sean.
And today, I'm letting Sean trot out his list of his favorite movies from the 90s. And to be honest, we're a little nervous.
As you should be.
I figured, yes. Okay. Deep breaths. What do you got for us, Sean?
Well, you're going to like the first one,
Okay.
at least.
Okay.
And that's Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie came out in my last year of high school, so I'm dating myself.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a thing even for an 18-year-old guy who probably should have been too cool for this movie, except that no one was too cool for this movie because it was something we had never seen. It was a computer animated movie that was for everyone. It was actually not just a kids movie, which basically, like, you know, you look back at some of the Disney stuff from the 90s, you can enjoy that as an adult, but I felt like this one, for whatever reason, was actually maybe aimed also at me and not just at
It definitely was, because it spoke to nostalgia, which is the thing children do not have.
That's true.
Yes. So this speaks directly to the people who have grown up and who are thinking about those days gone by. So you know what? Oddly, I do not remember when I saw that movie. I must have seen it in theaters. I can't imagine why I wouldn't have. And I remember it being a big thing. I remember my little cousin, who is a grown man now, but he was a little kid at the time, would jump off of, I mean, I'm going to say boulders. They were boulders to him. They were like, you know, a rock that was maybe a foot tall and yelling to infinity and beyond on every single rock. And it was like a path lined with rocks, which gets old when you were a teenage babysitter, just telling you that.
I can see
But
that.
it was a big deal. And it's so fun, and it was like so, such a game changer, so groundbreaking. They did not have at the Oscars an animation category yet. That wouldn't come for years. So they gave Toy Story a special Oscar, which they can do once in a while when they choose to. They rarely choose to, and that might be the last time a special Oscar was given out, was for that movie, because everyone in the movie industry just really wanted to recognize how incredible an achievement that was.
It was an incredible achievement.
Of course, if you look at it today compared to Toy Story 4 that just came out last year,
Oh, it's a huge difference.
you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like trash, but now it looks like something you could animate yourself.
Yes,
because you can.
you could.
But yeah, that was a huge, huge deal.
And I think one of the really amazing things for me, obviously most of the toys in there, except for Buzz and Woody, are real things that were from my childhood and my parents' childhood.
Well, I was going to say, they're not even really from your childhood. I know your parents like save toys and stuff, but they're from even a much older generation than that.
But now also Buzz and Woody feel like they have been around forever.
Well, they
are
have.
toys
Like
in their
I said,
own right.
my nephew, who was a baby when that came out, and maybe barely even a baby when it came out, is a grown man now. But because they have spanned the entire generation over 4 films that are beloved to every one of us. And they became toys, of course. Our nieces and nephews now play with these toys. We have Funko Pops for them upstairs, in fact, of Woody and Buzz. So, yeah, it's huge. That was a huge impact.
The next one, this is where we get into more dicey territory. A Few Good Men, which is just a classic Tom Cruise versus Jack Nicholson. Demi Moore is there as well as the other lawyer, breaking down this death in Guantanamo Bay, I think.
Okay.
On the U.S. Army base, and Tom Cruise and Demi Moore are lawyers who have to get to the bottom of this and defend this guy that's accused of doing a hazing gone wrong.
Ooh.
But it was Jack Nicholson all along, so we get the classic scene with you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. And there's more to it, and my roommate and university could do that whole speech. And
Oh, wow.
for better or worse.
And like, that's not even a law school roommate.
No, that's right. He's an accountant. So it was not a love of the law necessarily. It was just the love of.
Okay, well, I mean, this movie does not upset me. Like, it was not anything to me because I was too young for that.
Yeah, it's early 90s. So I remember going to the movies and I felt like I was seeing like a grown-up movie.
A grown-up movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with my friends.
Uh-huh.
And next one, Independence Day.
I have nothing bad to say about that movie. That was a big one for me too.
Just like
How could it not be?
textbook
That was
summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
That's sort of when we're still figuring this summer blockbuster thing out. This is, it's not the first one that did this, but it's sort of the template for what now is multiple movies every summer are trying to be the next Independence Day. Because this really does have like Will Smith in his first breakout role, where we all know who he is at that point from The Fresh Prince, and I mean, he's been in other stuff since then, but this is where he becomes Will Smith. He's the
huge,
star.
bankable star.
That you can just build whatever movie around.
Yeah, I mean, that turned out not to be true, and we found that out pretty quickly.
With Wild Wild West,
Yes.
yeah.
But, Independence Day was huge, and it deserved to be. That is a fun movie.
It is a fun movie.
And I remember my friend Melanie, Melanie would say that Will Smith is handsome. That was like her thing. And we'd be like, no, you don't know how this game works. But that was in the Fresh Prince days. And suddenly when he came out in this movie, he was looking a little grown up. I mean, we were still children, so it's like, but
he was still a kid, basically, at that point.
It's so crazy to think that. But yeah, so that movie really, it was explosive. I mean, it was all over theaters. It was a great movie to see with your friends in a group.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was perfectly timed. It did come out like July 2nd for the July 4th long weekend, and what better way to spend it than watching Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum fight aliens?
Yes, it was great.
Next one, Something About Mary.
Oh boy.
Another one where you just knew all of the lines and the scenes and the crazy things that happened, and there were so many crazy things. The Farrelly brothers they've more than worn out their welcome at this point. Like 10, 15 years ago, it was too much. But this one, they just were new, they were different, and they were not, I think, their edginess was still cute and endearing and not just
Yes, well that's
frustrating.
the thing. Remember coming off the 80s where everything was cheesy. If you've ever seen an 80s sitcom, take any of them, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Laugh track, everything had to have family values.
Yeah.
So for this to come along, like it was pushing the envelope. Now it's probably fairly tame.
It's pretty tame, yeah.
But back then it was, it was raunchy. It was 90s raunchy.
90s raunchy. Yeah. Next one, Speed.
Ooh.
Such a good action movie. And I
Yeah.
talk about the tentpole blockbuster of Independence Day. This is the thinking man's blockbuster.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? This was an exciting movie. I think it surprised a lot of people by how successful it was. These two basically unknown actors.
Yeah, Keanu and Sandra Bullock, they did come out of nowhere, really, because
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves was from Bill and Ted's. We knew him, but not as a
Not as
legitimate
this guy.
action star.
No. And I mean, lots of people wouldn't have even recognized him. This was a big one.
Yeah, and it's crazy that we are 30 plus years late, almost 30 years later, 20 plus years later.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is still making great action movies. How has this happened? Like, he was not supposed to be this guy. Speed, even then, was sort of an aberration for him. Like, he didn't do Speed 2. he said no. He went off and toured with his band and like did weird stuff. And I'm just like, well, he's just gonna go do Shakespeare in the Park in Manitoba. That's what Keanu Reeves is
That's
gonna
what
do.
he feels like doing.
But
and then he resurfaces again with The Matrix. I mean, this guy is the king of reinvention. I think maybe we haven't credited him enough with some of his really great choices. In hindsight, choices like nobody saw Speed coming.
No.
Like nobody, to make that big of a movie out of just people on a bus. But it was great. The editing is great. The chemistry is great. It just works on a lot of levels. That movie
Works. It is so tight.
It holds up today.
Yes, it does.
Which is, it says something for practical effects and like it.
That's
really,
right, because it's not CG.
It's not CG.
And there's no there's the big set piece when the bus jumps over the bridge, but that's a practical effect.
Mm-hmm.
That is, they jumped a bus off of a bridge, so it holds up, as you said. And the rest of it is mainly, it's not a lot of even physical, fight scenes.
No.
This is a tense movie with a bomb on a bus. And what a brilliant plan this was. How do you even come up with this terrorist threat of the bus can't go below 50 miles per hour?
That's
Wonderful.
right. And you have to solve a puzzle while hurtling this bus full of potential victims through very busy streets and trying to find
LA rush hour.
busy streets.
Yeah.
Exactly, because rush hour is going to slow you down. Brilliant concept.
And since we mentioned The Matrix,
I shouldn't have said anything.
you could say it. It was
I
coming.
did say it.
It was coming. Keanu Reeves again, out of nowhere, after doing maybe a few rom-coms between Speed and this, and then
Johnny Mnemonic.
And Johnny Mnemonic, that's right. Which is not good.
No.
It's really bad.
No.
But somehow...
It's funny because he was this slacker surfer guy. That's how we knew him, Point Break. Yeah. And Bill and Ted, he was that guy. Then suddenly he's in Speed and we're like, oh, he's kind of all right. And then he again all of this in the course of a decade comes out with The Matrix and we're like, what? And yeah.
So this one also holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
It is a little dated, but not too bad. I think mainly because the bullet time stuff is not really CG. That's camera trickery, and I think it still works pretty well. That where we would do it way easier now than they did, but the way that they did it looks better than a lot of the stuff that came 10 years later that now looks dated.
Well, that one spoke less to me. Certainly boys lined up to take me to see that, so I saw it. I don't remember it as well as you do, obviously. But I have seen probably 20 years worth of movies trying to be The Matrix.
Absolutely.
And
including 2 Matrix sequels.
Yes, and there are more on the way.
Yeah.
So, that was definitely a bar was set with The Matrix.
Yes, it was.
And that was hey, we're in the future right now. These are the kinds of movies we can churn out now. And remember, this was just before the year 2000, when people were having panics about our technology that couldn't deal with it becoming the year 000. Oh gosh, we had such panic. And yet, and this is the same society that's embracing technology and dreaming of all this stuff. They were heady times, guys. Crazy heady times.
P.S. Y2K turned out just fine.
Yes. So to the future, when it becomes the year 3000, give your computers a little credit.
Next on the list, Encino Man.
Oh boy.
So this to me is one of the most 90s movies of all time.
Okay. But I feel like it needs some explanation. You can't just pop this up, people.
So Encino Man is a movie starring Brendan Fraser and Pauly Shore.
Right.
So Pauly Shore was, for reasons still unexplained, a big deal in the 90s. He was a huge deal on MTV, which we didn't even get in Canada, and we still knew he was a thing.
Still knew him, yeah.
And then he started making horrible, horrible movies. Consistently horrible movies. And yet, he still kept making them. There's Son-in-Law, there's Biodome, there's Encino Man. Encino Man, though, is actually a cut above those other films.
Okay.
Which is not to say it's good, because it's not good. But it's kind of awesome.
Okay.
And it's very entertaining. And I forgot to mention Sean Astin as well, who is in this, who is also kind of a thing in the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. He was the guy next door. So that's what this is. It's the guy next door, Sean Astin, his crazy friend, Pauly Shore. They dig up a caveman in their backyard while they're trying to make their own pool.
Yeah.
And this is then the story of the caveman who is thought out. It's Brendan Fraser. They start taking him to school and pretending he's an exchange student. And he's suddenly the coolest guy. Because these other two guys are losers, which, you know, it makes sense. Maybe that's why this works as a Pauly Shore film. Because we're not pretending that he's super cool.
Yeah. we're like, yeah, he is a weird guy. He needs a handsome caveman to give him some street cred. And the thing is, Brendan Fraser might be the hardest person to explain all of that, because what happened? Like he had like a skyrocketing career in the 90s that went nowhere in the end. I think the last thing maybe the world let him do was Crash. And even that was an anomaly for him. But yeah, Brendan Fraser was a thing for a minute.
Yes, he was.
For a whole minute.
For a whole minute.
Yeah.
And this is
a moment of silence for Brendan
the
Fraser's
moment,
career.
of all of them coming together and somehow making an entertaining movie. So good job, guys.
Yeah.
Good job. You'll always have that, and we'll always have the DVD.
Someday someone will be digging a pool and find the DVD of this.
And it'll be glorious. It'll
Yeah.
be probably even a better experience than having a Brendan Fraser to show a cool new dance at the school prom or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Next, an actual good movie, Terminator 2, that I don't think Jay's ever seen.
No.
Somehow I haven't made her watch the Terminators yet. Terminator 1.
I think you did make me
movie.
watch Terminator 1, by the way.
No, I don't think I did. I think I would remember that. I don't know.
I think I remember that.
Okay. Anyway, Terminator 2 is the better movie.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And I think the saddest thing about Terminator 2...
What's the saddest thing?
So, as we should all know from Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a robot sent back from the future to kill John Connor, as in Terminator 1, he's killing his mom, who is going to have this baby that will lead the human resistance against the machines who have taken over.
Oh.
Terminator 2, Arnold is again sent back, but this time, he's a good guy. He's been reprogrammed by John Connor to protect himself as a teenager. And it's Eddie Furlong as John Connor of the early 90s, this rebellious foster kid who doesn't play by the rules and says cool things like "Hasta la vista." The sad thing in all of this, it was supposed to be a surprise that Arnold was a good guy.
Okay.
That is not apparent if you watch the first half hour of this movie. You're supposed to think that he's bad.
Okay.
The trailers spoiled that.
Oh.
Yeah. So everyone knew going into this movie that Arnold was a good guy. And it's just a real shame, because if you watch this movie. I think it's on Netflix. it is really set up well. James Cameron did a great job of having that reveal come, like 30 minutes into the movie. And it would be a more powerful thing
if you hadn't just spoiled it.
Who hasn't? Who doesn't know that at this point, thanks to the 90s trailers? Oh, yeah.
I think we just established who doesn't, but anyways.
Sorry.
Why don't you spoil another one for us, Sean?
Okay, it's The Sixth Sense.
Wonderful. Good.
Just M. Night Shyamalan making a good movie.
Yeah, because it was his first.
It was his first, so we didn't expect a stupid plot twist from him. And this was actually a good twist. Mm-hmm. This was earned. Mm-hmm. This was one where I have the DVD because I wanted to rewatch it and see, because there are clues all through this that will set up the ending. And I thought that was just a brilliant twist in this one, that it's a good movie. Haley Joel Osment is awesome. He is a great actor who unfortunately doesn't really get any jobs anymore.
He's been in a few things.
Not as much as he should. Like, as a kid, he was the kid.
He sure was. My goodness. Like, talking about all these people who had a little hot minute in the 90s, including, I think we should say, James Cameron, who had some real big times, and unfortunately, because of the Avatar whatever, his time has been really tied up, and we haven't heard as much from him. But yeah, The Sixth Sense was certainly a big one. Oh my gosh. And you know what that reminds me of?
What?
50 First Dates. Another Adam Sandler movie with Drew Barrymore, in which she has a problem. She can't remember anything. Every day she wakes up and relives the same day, basically. Including after dinner, because it's always her dad's birthday, she got him the gift of The Sixth Sense. And so every night, she and her dad and her brother, played by...
I don't remember.
Sean Astin.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
How do you not remember that?
I don't know.
He's always doing bicep curls. He has like a little lisp, and he thinks he's super tough.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Every night they watch The Sixth Sense, and every night she is surprised by it, and her poor dad and brother.
They have to play along.
Yes. So that's what that reminds me of.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not remember that detail, but that's a perfect movie to have to pretend to be surprised by this twist ending.
Yes.
Which I didn't spoil.
Good job.
Next, Pulp Fiction. So this is Quentin Tarantino's breakout hit from the mid-90s that also gave us at least 5 years of the Travolta songs. Also, Uma Thurman has a big role. Bruce Willis is in this.
Bruce Willis has been in a lot of our movies.
He has, that's true.
Yeah.
He has apparently had a very good decade in the 90s.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of knew that and maybe forgot it a little bit because he's not in as much stuff now. But he had, there would have been a Die Hard 3 in there at least. Samuel L. Jackson is wonderful in this movie. Christopher Walken is great. It's just a huge cast. And it is a number of different stories. I think there's 5 parts.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've watched it, but it's not told in chronological order. And it's just great to see this stuff come together. But even from scene to scene, it's just a remarkable movie. And I think in particular, there's a scene where John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are hitmen, or gangsters anyway. There's a scene where they literally shoot a guy's head off in their car. And somehow it's hilarious. It's just great. And the tone of this movie is just so off the wall that every bit of it is entertaining, that somehow all of it is funny. And I think Quentin Tarantino, he's still trying to do that. I don't think he's always succeeding, But this one, he knocked it out of the park. And my last movie is another Quentin Tarantino. He doesn't direct this one.
No.
But he wrote it. And you can tell that he wrote it. Because it feels like a Tarantino movie. Sort of. Because it's also a love story. And Tarantino doesn't really do love stories.
No.
But he did in this one with Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette as these star-crossed lovers who there's basically no like lead up to this. They just meet and they hit it off immediately. And we believe it. And then they go on this big grand adventure like across country to LA. And again, the cast in this is amazing. Amazing. Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, a very young Brad Pitt.
That's right.
Christopher Walken again in just a fantastic role. Dennis Hopper as Christian Slater's dad. And the scene with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is just one of the great movie scenes
absolutely
ever.
it is. Yeah.
And again, Tarantino is all over this and just, it's perfect.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I sort of rediscovered later. And I don't know, I'm sort of over Quentin Tarantino and have been for a little while, so it's hard for me sort of to be like on the Pulp Fiction bandwagon. But I don't know, True Romance speaks to me in a different way, I guess. Because it's fun in a weird way.
Yes, it is.
You know, because it makes you feel like you're part of the mayhem. Like you get to be in the car, you get to be in the hotel room, you get
That's
to
right.
be, yeah.
James Gandolfini also in this.
Yeah.
In a great role again, which this is like certainly leading to The Sopranos. I mean, you know, he's had other films where he has been the tough gangster, but he's that in this. Like, he's just great in not a lot of screen time because there's not that much to go around.
No, but he makes a big impact.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So that's my list of great favorite movies from the 90s.
Well, not a bad one, Taylor.
Well, thanks, babe. I had to cut out a lot.
Yes, it is hard to narrow it down, and certainly because I was like so little going into the 90s that like they would have been cartoons and stuff. Like all of my favorites are from the last 2 years of the 90s, basically. So yes, you gave us a wider
little bit
range.
more. Yeah, I think I started 91. I think Terminator 2 is very early 90s.
Yeah, well, I had to check on a lot of stuff, and like I was even going to say one of my favorite Brendan Fraser roles is Blast from the Past that he did with Christopher Walken. But I don't know what year that would be from. I think not the 90s.
I feel like it probably
But
would
my
go over
goodness.
to the 2000s, but it is close and it's hard to draw that line.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, those days of our youth, I guess.
Yeah.
I still felt young then.
Well, you're still
At
young
what
now.
point did I stop?
You're still
And I
young
pinpoint
now.
the movie where I was like, oh, it's old lady. When I started watching the Golden Girls marathon, I guess. Then I was like, okay, come to mama. Well, all right. None of your stuff made me too angry. So
Oh, excellent.
that was a nice surprise.
That is surprising to me as well.
Yeah. Good job, hon.
Thanks, babe.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Let us know what your favorite 90s movies are in the comments. Bye.
Bye.